How do I sound this week? Welcome to Wrestling is Hard, where every side is the dark side of the ring. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard4wrestling. Email questions and complaints at wrestlingishard@gmail.com. I'm Jim. Brandon, hello. Go Phils.
That's right. Go Phillies. I'm good, Jim. Thanks for asking. Life is good. The Phillies are 3-0 in the MLB playoffs. It means a lot to everybody here on the podcast, including us, the listeners, you, the listeners. So I can't even focus because we decided to start recording. But I don't want to skip Chris here. But Jimmy was getting into a story where he's now just like narcoleptically passing out, standing up in his daily life. So if you want to just pick that up, Jim, I think this is worth listening to.
Okay, here we go. So I had COVID a long time ago, but I don't think it's that. And then I had this. If you've listened for a while, you can hear all my trials and tribulations. Then I had this ear infection thing that took me like a month to get over, July. But now I've got like allergies right now. But when I got back so I didn't. All right, so I'm gonna piece it all together. So I've
I'm
got
not laughing
allergies
at you.
again.
Not to interrupt. I'm not laughing at you, but it's funny to talk about the hypothetical listener that's aware of your ear infection from
My
this.
ear infection. You might have listened for a while. You might know that I talked about my ear infection.
Please continue.
Um, and I anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, so you know, for years now we've been wearing masks all the time, stores, stuff like that, and I didn't have allergies for a long time. My allergies are back fucking triple fold now. I've always had allergy issues my entire life, especially ragweed, and it's ragweed season. So I've got this like sinus cold thing. So the other day we were watching. What the fuck were we watching? Oh, we were watching Sopranos, and there was a certain sequence that was really, really fucking funny. And I started laughing hysterically, but I started coughing at the same time, and I passed out.
Digging up that sediment at the bottom of your lungs.
It was like a, and I fell over. My wife thought I was joking, thought I was kidding. And I'm like, I'm like laying there like a fucking turtle, going,
Oh my god.
and she's like laughing at me, and she has no idea. She thinks I'm fucking around because I am known to fuck around. And I'm like, oh shit, I think I just passed out. I just passed out. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And then I started to think. One time I was driving on 95 coming back from South Philadelphia. I had to go to Restaurant Supply. It's down by the stadium. If you're familiar with Philadelphia area, where the Eagles Stadium is, there's the Jetro sign. It's called the Jetro lot. If you go to Eagles games, well, it's actually a place. It's a restaurant supply store. It's called Jetro. I was down there and I was driving on 95 and I was drinking like a glass of water or something, but like my water bottle went down the wrong throat and I started coughing. And I was passed out driving 70 miles an hour on 95 coughing. I ended up having to slow down and pull onto the like controlled breathing to get. So there I am. I'm just falling
Luckily, there
apart.
wasn't
Man.
any cops pulling somebody over. You could have killed a couple of them.
I know.
Like that lady.
Don't make me
That's
laugh
what that.
more.
That's what that lady's excuse was.
Yeah. The drunk lady. Yeah, that's right. There you go. So there's my life right now. How's yours, Brandon?
That's like I think probably the past year I've hit the apex of physical health, and I'm now in the downturn. Right, like things are now starting to just get worse for me. So I can start to relate to these stories of the male physical bodies giving out on you, and it's just funny to think about knowing you and the stories that you guys have told about when you were younger, and now you're just fucking passing out at like a TV show, just trying to stand up and have a laugh. Now you're just collapsing standing up.
I'm trying to think of exactly what it was. I think it was something Lorraine Bracco says. She's like talking about Tony Soprano or something. I was in like the way she said it, I was in fucking tears. I was like, that is seriously the funniest thing that's ever been said on the show. And I was just like, oh my God, that's fucking and I was like Tony Soprano when he has the fucking anxiety attacks and falls over. There you go. Full circle.
Just when you become as your apex mentally, your body just starts to collapse on you over one little thing.
My mind's been slipping for a long time.
Yeah,
It's funny because you were saying like, oh, you reach your apex. Like I think I had like as a teenager, I was very fit and in shape. Then at some point in my late 20s, I was in shape. Then at some point in my mid 30s, I was in shape. It's not happening in my mid 40s. It's just not coming back again. Now I'm just dying. Chris, how are you?
I'm feeling bad for the fucking two of you. That's what I'm doing. Jesus Christ.
I'm
I
fine.
don't know why your bodies are falling apart like that.
Happy.
As long as you're happy and dying, you'll be
Dying.
fine.
Sooner
Hey, we
the better.
all dying.
Sooner the better, brother.
It's
How
not.
am I?
It's not falling apart. It's like this is now the time where the stuff that I used to be able to get away with, I can't anymore.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I mean.
Like
It's like
drinking
I
all
used
night and then like doing stuff.
Oh, or quite possibly wrestling a grown adult at 1:30 on a Friday morning in the parking lot on 2nd Street next to the Plow and the Stars. Because I may have done that this week. I can't remember. I just didn't even realize. I didn't realize I forgot to tell that story.
Was that Mawa sanctioned?
Yes, it was Mawa sanctioned. Whatever the fuck that is.
Isn't that the American Wrestling Association for Adults or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I have no idea. I got done work early on Thursday night, and in the process of leaving, I saw some of my work buddies at the bar down the street, namely a coworker. So I went down. I figured I'd talk to him for a little bit before I went home. So we're sitting outside. It's like 1:30, 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday, Thursday night into Friday morning, and his roommate's there. And somehow we get into this conversation about, another friend was talking about going to Extreme Rules, and Ronda Rousey came up. And I talked about how she wasn't a great wrestler. And the roommate of my friend starts telling me how she would choke me out. And I said, well, I don't know that to be true. She doesn't really hold any kind of position like legit ranking in jiu-jitsu. She's great at judo. She kicked my ass in judo. She'd probably punch and kick the shit out of me standing up. But if we were just grappling, I don't know that she would choke me out. Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, I do have some experience.
Can I cut you off for 1 second?
Yeah.
I just want to ask a question. So when you said she's not a good wrestler, you were talking about professional wrestling, correct?
Yes.
And this person was like, kick your ass.
No, well, hold on. He wasn't like that at all. I like the guy. No. But yes, that's how it went down. The attitude that the verbal response, what was behind the verbal response that you assigned to it was a different attitude. It was more fun than that. Man, we were joking around. And then somehow it got to that he would choke me out. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, it's fine. You'll choke me out. That's great. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. We're cool. It's cool. You can do it. That's fine. I'm sure you can. Don't worry about it.
I've definitely been this guy too.
Wait, and then then 15, 20 minutes, and I swear to God, it's probably like the last. So he's needling me for 15 minutes, and the last 5 of those needles, he's tapping me on the arm. I bet you I can do it. I bet you I can do it. And I looked at him. I said, I'll give you the fucking choke. You won't be able to do it. So we started joking around, and the bouncer from the Plow gets nervous. And I looked at him. I said, we're friends. We're joking. Nothing is happening here. He's like, okay, cool. It's fine. And obviously, when you talk to, when you see a group of guys and I'm in there and they've been drinking, you could tell immediately that I'm sober. Right. So eventually he just continues to needle me and they go, fuck it, we're going in the park. I go, okay, we're going. I give him the rear naked choke, completely locked in, like Titanic position, like I'm fucking sunk. And
you turned your hips in towards him,
I exactly
as per Brandon's instructions.
Yeah, as per Brandon's instructions. Well, here's the thing. We're in a parking lot, and I was like, look, there's like basic self-defense things that you can do that would have made him realize, like, oh shit, I need to let go of this. And I couldn't do him because he was really fucking strong. And he was completely locked in. And I'm starting to choke. And I'm saying to myself, I ain't choking. So I took him down and then beat the living, and when I say beat the living crap out of him, I mean just abused him jiu-jitsu wrestling wise, not like actually punched him or got angry or any of that shit. The funniest part about this is that as soon as we started, it was like somebody put up the World Star bat signal and people just flocked into the parking lot with phones.
Oh yeah.
I was like, and I could see this happening. And Timmy, my friend Timmy, whose roommate it was, is like strategically like blocking everybody so they can't record it. And then he's like, the 2 days later, he's like, I'm blocking people so they can't record it. And then I woke up the next day and I thought, why weren't you recording that? It's like everybody. So anyway, I get the kid in the scarf hole and I make him tap out in the parking lot. Whatever.
You got out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What was the trick? What was the
I turned into him.
moment?
I turned into him. I turned my shoulder into him. No, I just kind of worked my way behind him. And then when I got a leg behind his leg and my hips lower than his hips, I basically just sat down.
Was there any moment where you're like, why the fuck am I doing this in the parking lot?
No, here's the funny part. So after the fact that there was this adrenaline dump and this really, really existential dread and stupidity that came up over me. Like I almost felt like I had just legitimately gotten in a fight with some kid for no reason and felt dumb. And then felt, because it was kind of grindy and ugly, that my jujitsu sucks. And that like the way my mind works is when things don't go exactly the way I want them to, when I'm legitimately training, I will overanalyze the shit out of everything and figure out what I did wrong. So I had all these different things poking at me and I was like, this was really bad. Why did you do this to yourself? I get home and I got a skinned up knee. I'm 46. I'm coming home from work with a skinned up knee from a parking garage. Old City.
Big fan.
Yeah. And who's awake? My fucking wife.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got any Neosporin, any Bactine?
Yeah.
I
have
cry?
I'm married.
So sorry.
I'm married to a wonderful woman, and I explained what happened, and she left.
It's funny.
I mean, that's.
It was fun. It was, what? Listen, and then my response to it was, and maybe it was just a justification for acting like a boob, but sometimes I think you got to be 17 years old again, and you got to throw some fucking chaos into your life. And it wasn't. Now, if I had lost, I would have been really upset with myself.
Yeah.
But
all that training for nothing. Well,
yeah,
but that part of it, like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like, anybody can win at any time. That's some of this stuff.
When I was asked later about it by one of the guys that was there, what did you do? I was like, I don't know. What did I do? And then I went through it in my head and I remembered. I said, because at that moment, my adrenaline was pumping so much that it actually, I had control of the situation mentally, but I had no control over where my brain was telling my body what to do. Right? Like once I got out of the position that I was in, I gave them a few, in jiu-jitsu, like we use a term called cooking somebody. Mm-hmm. So you get them in position and the position itself sucks before the submission. You let them sit in that position for a couple seconds and just suffer. Mm-hmm. Then you tap them out. So I let them cook a few times in some really bad spots. But, I know if it was like a situation where if I was at the gym training like that and somebody was talking all kinds of shit and I did that to him, I would have been looking around the room and talking shit about the guy while that was happening because it's a controlled setting. Mm-hmm. Like my brain is used to this thing happening in this place, but my brain is not used to that thing happening in the parking lot. So it was all very just
Did you guys hug it out afterwards?
We laughed. Of course we laughed. We laughed our asses off. And I said, next time, I told him
there, man.
I did. Well, the funny part about it is, it's funny. Fuck it. He's an old skater and he has broken his arm so many times that he's kind of got like a jacked up arm. It's much smaller than his right arm is much smaller than his left.
Pin arm.
He's got a pin arm, and man, that left arm is so unbelievably fucking strong, man. And I was like, dude, for that fucking one arm, you gotta start beating off with the right hand, bro, because that left hand is way too strong. But and then I get a text. I have a thing I do to just about everybody when something ridiculous happens. An hour later, after I don't see it, so if I leave the situation and an hour passes, I text you, do you remember that time when this thing happened?
Right, of course. I've done that many times.
And then ... that was awesome. I got a text from my buddy the next day. Do you remember the time you tapped him out in the park when you wrestled him in the parking lot, beat the shit out, wrestled him in the parking lot? And I said, I remember the time I broke out of a rear naked choke and tapped him the fuck out. And he goes, he woke up this morning and said, "Oh my God, why does my whole body hurt? Why are my clothes all dirty? What happened last night?" And my boy was like, "Dipshit, you decided to wrestle Chris in the parking lot." And he kicked the shit out of you. And he was like, "Why did I fucking do that?" And then I saw him Sunday and he actually apologized. He was like, "I'm really sorry I did that to you." I was like, "Dude, you're getting the wrong impression here. This was mutual agreed on combat. We laughed our asses off and I hung out for a while. It wasn't like I was like, "All right, I'm out of here." No, we just joked around and then I went home in like 20, 30 minutes. But yeah, introduced a little 17-year-old chaos into my 46-year-old life, and it was fun.
I fucking love everything about that, man.
That was great. That's the story of the week, and it's way better than what I watched on AEW. Do we want to talk about it? More importantly, how about this? Let's not talk about AEW. Any spooky movies? Did you watch any spooky movies? Brandon, did you watch any spooky movies yet? It's spooky season.
I watched the Munsters. That's why I had messaged you about it, because I was sat down and was like genuinely excited for it. As a Netflix horrible Halloween movie fan, I've watched Hubie Halloween 5 times, just specifically because it's a bad Halloween movie and I can relax to it. This didn't even hit that spot. It was bad in the worst ways possible.
Let me hear your opinions on it. Give me a reason why you didn't like it, because we watched it in our house and we only lasted about 30, 40 minutes and then we turned it off. So go ahead. I want to hear why you didn't like it.
Yeah, I did. So I'll tell you this. I tried to watch it 3 times. I have never finished the movie. It was
you didn't start from the beginning 3 times.
I did. I started from the beginning 3 separate times. It was like kitschy, but it lacked the kitsch. It was silly, but no character stood out to you. Rob Zombie's wife was a particularly bad actress in it, and but each time, about 30, 40 minutes in, I just got like zonked around the same spot. I don't know if that's a deep analysis, but I think everything that stands out to you, where it's like it's like a glowing, every character is glowing and it's like warm and interesting and it looks like it's filmed in a warehouse, and that just wears off really quickly.
See, I disagree about Sherry Moon Zombie. I think she's the only one that looked like the part. I think she looked like, what the hell's her name? Mrs.
Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What's her name? What's the character's name?
Lily.
I think she looked great. She looked fantastic. My problem was that
they all look great.
The Munsters was funny. I thought the Munsters was funny as a kid. And if you watch it today, it's got some slapstick. It's pretty funny. This was not. There was not a single laugh. We watched it for 40 minutes. I didn't laugh once. And I said to my wife, I was like, "This is fucking terrible. This is not funny at all. I don't know what they're going for." It's like they had these kitschy jokes, but none of them were funny. None of them hit. And I'm not particularly a fan of Rob Zombie's films. I'm a horror guy. I like horror movies. I'm really crazy about Rob Zombie films, and this one was a stinker, man. Bad.
It just felt like it was filmed I said this before, but it's like in a building, and it's just like at a certain point, you're just like, I can just feel these people like kicking around in this building bored. Like you said, there's no comedy to it at all. You're watching Lily out to dinner with like a Dracula who's like showing pictures of his rats, and shit. Like there's some overacting. You're watching a Dracula, and there's like a fine line between like kitschy overacting that's meant to be funny and just a scene that isn't landing at all, and it kept falling on the wrong side of that again and again.
Similar look. That fucking Undertaker movie with the New Day had a similar look to it.
Yes, yeah.
It looks like it's filmed on a stage. It was in 4D or 4HK or whatever, so it was really clear and bright. But that was genuinely entertaining thing. This wasn't. Munsters stunk. The Undertaker. I would watch the Undertaker thing over and over again. That thing was fun.
Well, can I add something? Well, there's a couple things. I haven't seen this. I won't watch it. I think Rob Zombie's movies are an abomination. I think they're all horrible.
I like it. I like House of a Thousand Corpses. It was fun.
Yeah, that was one of the. And I'll tell you, look, there's a lot of people that like it. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was fine.
It was horrible.
But that's a perfect like
really average.
But that's like a perfect like you land on either side of that. Like
right.
I'm not surprised to hear both of those opinions.
Right. I remember I said that about that, and somebody looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "I had never been so bored in my life in a movie theater."
Funny story. Real quick. Chris was one of the first people I personally knew that had a cell phone.
Oh
when
yeah.
House of Thousand Corpses was in theaters, and he and this guy went and saw it together. The movie. They pocket dialed my landline, and I picked it up, and I'm like, I can hear them making fun of the movie. I knew it was toward House of a Thousand Corpses, and I'm on the phone going, "Yo, you pocket dialed me. Hang up." And laughing my ass off because you couldn't. If I hung up my phone, if you called me, is this the way it worked? If you called me and I hung up the phone, sometimes it would stay live. You couldn't lose the call on landlines.
No, it's if I called
someone was
you
on your
and
line.
I hung up on you, it still went.
It still
I
went.
think is what it was. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, God,
But I think
click,
we're
click,
way
click,
past that at this point. Like, I mean, at the point in which this happened, I think that those problems were all ironed out at that point.
Yeah. So there you go.
Can I add
Go
to
ahead,
that
Chris.
story?
Yeah, King,
Because I
continue,
remember,
Chris.
because
That
this
was
is
fun.
when I remember when it happened. Because Jim told me about it later. There's a scene in that movie. Spoiler alert! It's a 30-year-old movie or whatever it is. There's a scene in that movie where the father of the kids that are missing goes and looks for them, and he's in the backyard of the house, and the evil sheriff shoots the guy.
We're talking HOTC.
Yes, we're taking HOTC.
HRT said.
The camera pans back, and it's going to happen. And they did, in my opinion, a terrible job of setting up all the suspense in that movie. Right? The camera pans back and takes way too long. He pulls the gun out. He sticks it to the guy's head. I'm making finger guns. Are we going to get thrown off of YouTube for that?
No finger guns.
He pulls the gun out.
We'll put some Fetterman ads in there. Clear it up.
Yeah. Pulls the gun out. He's holding it out. He's holding it out. He's holding it out. It's panning out. It's panning out. I mean, at this point, we're at the moon looking on the earth. It panned out so far. And I yelled, just fucking shoot him already. And then he shot him. But I think that's the moment where I called you. But what I was going to say is that all right, so first of all, they've attempted to remake this show in different forms like 4 times.
You're talking about the monsters.
Monsters.
Yeah.
There was comedic rapport between Al Lewis and Fred Gwynn. They were on a television show before that together. Yvonne DeCarlo.
Where are you?
Yeah. Yvonne DeCarlo played Lily. She was in the fucking 10 Commandments. Oh no, Spartacus she was in, I think, right? This is a legitimate big time movie actor. The forcing of his wife in everything, in a main role. I know, I get it, but they put her in these.
Zombie, man.
They put her in main roles in
She's
these
like
movies.
55 years old. She looks spectacular.
Yeah, she can't act. She can't act her way out of a paper bag.
Man. That's why I watch.
And what happened? And what happened?
I turned it off.
There you
I watched her, and then I turned it off.
Yeah.
My wife agreed. We were both like, man, she fucking looks great, man. She looks awesome. This is great. This movie fucking stinks.
I haven't watched one yet. I haven't watched one scary movie yet.
Yeah, Jim,
Funny.
you brought the topic up. Do you have something else in mind?
I have more Sherry Moon zombie story. One time, I was drunk at a bar, and a girl showed up dressed up like Sherry Moon Zombie in what movie was it? Lords of Salem. She had the makeup on and the sweater, and I'm drunk. She's hanging out there. She's got the makeup on. She's all fucking done up like her. I was underneath her shirt sucking titties in a bar.
Oh, God, this is in the world, bro.
There you go.
Lord Almighty.
Lord,
we can't hide from our past.
Lords of titties.
Lord.
Yeah. I'm the Lord of titties.
Oh, God.
1,000 nipples.
Glug, glug, glug.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Whatever.
Have you watched any good horror movies? I'm still searching for.
I watched The Black Phone.
Was that good?
It is good.
It looked dumb.
I don't know. It was good. I was surprised it was good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke on the come up. He's in lots of stuff these days.
Yep.
That was a good one.
I watched that movie on mushrooms, and it ruined it for me. I was like, the kids acting.
Oh, you watched that movie on?
I watched The Black Phone on mushrooms after Fish, and I was like, a bunch of us are watching it, and we were like, the kids start talking, and we were all just like, when they're in that scene in the beginning, there's like a classic children's fight scene.
Yeah.
Where they go in the bathroom, and he's like, "Would you just say punk?" And there's like a Native American kid he's like dressed very tropishly like a Native American kid with the like
fucking a war bonnet on
with the band, like the bandana with the long brown hair and like a cut off.
I forget the kid's name.
And he's like, oh, he breaks the kid's face, and he's like, he washes his hands in the sink, and he was like, Kevin's teeth were pretty hard, because he hit him in the teeth so many times it cut his knuckles. We were all just like, yeah, I can't watch.
Gotta make him bleed. Well, you're on mushrooms. You probably can't. You don't watch a horror movie on mushrooms.
Hulk is being so pervy with the kids. We were like, oh man, that was sweat bullets. So I can't say it wasn't good, but boy, we ended up laughing at it the whole time. Sorry to interrupt.
That was good. Newer movies. Oh, I watched the remake of Hellraiser last night. The original Hellraiser isn't great. I know everybody loves it, but it's iconic.
It's iconic, but it's a piece of shit.
This was as good. I found this very entertaining. It's a combination of the Hellraiser 1, which is a pretty good horror movie, and Hellraiser 2, which is a fucking terrible movie. Puts them together and kind of tells the same story. I thought that was pretty good. It's available on Hulu. Watch it for free.
Did you ever see the third Exorcist?
Hell yeah. Oh,
yeah. I just watched it recently. I didn't think that movie was bad.
Dude, that movie fucking rules.
You like that?
Good.
The Heretic stinks. The third one's good.
The Heretic's the one with James Earl Jones, right?
James Earl Jones.
They're in Africa.
Fuck. What's his name's? Liz
It's
Taylor's
bad.
ex-husband. Liz Taylor's ex-husband. The British guy. Liz Taylor's ex-husband was in it.
Oh, Richard Burton?
Richard Burton's in it. There you go. Who'd you say, Brandon?
Lawrence
Taylor.
Lawrence Welk.
I was watching the Seinfeld episode where Lawrence Taylor, or not Seinfeld, Sopranos, where Lawrence Taylor's playing poker.
Oh, that's a good one.
And the one guy's like, it's the problem of the blacks. And Lawrence Taylor's like, yup. Fuck.
So funny. Yeah, I'm looking for one, man. This is usually my favorite month of the year, and I've just kind of like been spinning my wheels. All of a sudden, we're almost to the 15th, and
I've got a list. I've got it. Listen, guys, if you are listening at home, you're completely disinterested in AEW, so this is what we're going to talk about. So here's the spooky movies that I got. Here's my list of what I have to watch. Crimes of the Future, which is a David Cronenberg film. I haven't seen X yet. Brandon, have you seen X?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to see X. I haven't seen Pearl yet. I'll watch Pearl after I've seen X.
I'll tell you what, we saw the ad for X, and my wife said, yeah, I don't want to watch that. Because she watched Let the Right One In. I think she watched the first episode of that show.
It's a series?
It's a Showtime. We have Showtime. It's a Showtime series, yeah.
I've seen the film and I read the book.
Yeah.
The vampire.
So the vampire. It's exactly what you remember it to be, what you know it to be. I have not. I don't. You know me.
I recommend the film.
Shit
the
loses
Swedish film. Let the Right One In. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The X lands like somewhere in between, like that drag me to hell or drag you to hell,
which I love,
and like a real horror movie. In a weird spot. I liked it, but you have to let me know what you think, because there's the parts of it where it's like the horrible makeup,
right,
and creepiness and like over the top gore, but then it doesn't go all the way there.
Right.
It's still fun, but continue.
Like just enough camp. Like
It's
completely camp.
It's gonna split down the middle for sure.
Speaking of Crimes of the Future is about in the future we've lost the ability to feel pain, so we're finding ways for sensory and kids eating plastic. I don't know. It's fucking weird, but it's a Cronenberg film, so I'm into it. Barbarian. Have you seen Barbarian yet, Brandon?
No, I think that's the same lane as X. I think that's the same. Same squad.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's the same dude. Ty West, right? Ty West? Is that the director's name of X?
Yeah.
Nope. I haven't seen Nope yet. Have you seen Nope, Brandon?
I have, yeah.
What'd you think?
That is a really good
Without
movie.
Spoilers, what do you tell me?
It's a really good movie for 80% of it, and then it's like Signs. If you've seen that,
Mhm.
where it turns into like a heartwarming family movie. I hope that's not too spoilersy, but
Yeah, it's totally did, but it's okay.
well,
I
you
know
don't know
what
what
to expect.
happened.
It's okay. Watcher. Have you seen this yet?
No,
No, it's about a stalker. And The Cursed. It's a werewolf movie.
never heard of it.
That's my movies. That's my spookers I'm going to watch. There you go.
You have a list, Chris?
What, a list of horror movies? I'm gonna watch. No, I don't have a list. I don't watch
They're all
horror
new
movies.
ones, by the way. They're new.
Yeah, yours are all new. I'll give you my list of horror movies I watch, and there's a common thread.
Wrath of Khan.
Rather, I'll go out of my way to
Giallo
watch
Master Killer.
The Fog,
Yeah, The Fog's good.
Halloween 1 and 2 and 3.
3. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Give me another one. Oh, Prince of Darkness, The Thing.
Yeah, you're talking about John. So you pretty
It's
much
just John Carpenter movies.
made.
Yeah, they're the only ones I really like. The rest of them are just kind of like it's just not my bag. You know, I find them to be, I can't, and maybe it's just that I haven't watched them so long, so they've gotten away from this. But to me, when I watch these movies, I always say to myself, why doesn't somebody just punch this guy in the fucking face?
But you're
I
scared,
get-
bro.
I get it. You have to be in that mindset. I'm not in that mindset. And then the one I watched, I watched it by accident. I didn't realize it was on. I turned the TV on. It was on. This was last year at Halloween. Was
Gay porn. You watch it by
not
accident.
no. I'll watch that on
I watch it
purpose.
on purpose. Yeah.
The one I watch on accident. Well, I mean, I turned it on. I kept it on because I knew how ridiculous it would be. Is Friday the 13th Part 3? Isn't that the 3D one?
Oh my god, it's amazing.
It's so good.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's so good. So any of the 3D ones, and the first 3 Friday the 13th are good. But the rest of them, I mean, even
Watching
like
3D movies on a 2D TV is
it's
very
so
funny.
good.
Buddy.
It's so good.
The part where he's like laying down and he gets up and he goes.
Yeah. Or the what do you call it? The spear gun.
The spear goes in your face.
I like
good.
any of those
So
fucking movies. Here's the thing. If I can't laugh at it, if there's not like these parts of these movies that you're actually super enjoyable, you're like, yeah. Because I like to root for that guy.
Mhm.
I want that guy to win. And the thing about all of those movies is, like, if you look at the original Halloween, I mean, it's an obvious, people have pointed out many times. I'm not like, reinventing the wheel by saying this. Halloween and Halloween 2, everybody that dies has loose morals or is lazy. The only person that has a strong moral compass is the one that defeats the bad guy, right? I mean, that's basically that's basically it. So I was watching the second Halloween the other day, and I text Jim, none of this shit would have happened if the fat security guard was watching his TV instead of fucking reading a book. He's looking at a fucking guns and ammo book. He should have been watching his fucking TV. The guy walks right across the screen.
Speaking of terrible movies that I watched back, horror movies, I watched Poltergeist.
Oh God,
Ooh, tough one.
Right?
it's
Now, like,
bad on so many levels.
I
Like-
remember watching that in the 80s and being like, oh, this is so scary. There are so many fucking dicks in that movie.
Yeah,
There's the neighbor who won't want them. First of all, there's the neighbor at the beginning of the movie. They're fighting over the remote control. The remote controls control both TVs. He's got 20 dudes in his fucking living room watching a football game. And his neighbor is fighting with him because his kid wants to watch Mr. Rogers. So they're flipping back and forth. First of all, historical accuracy. Mr. Rogers was not on at fucking 3 p.m. on a fucking Sunday.
Nope.
Right? Like, that's when the football game would have been happening. 3 p.m. on a Sunday. They're fighting over it. Terrible human beings. All the people they bring into the house. To talk about people like not paying attention to the camera. There's the guy with the mustache that's supposed to be sitting there watching a camera and he's listening to his headphones and just like, oh. There's the guy that goes into the kitchen and he's like, oh, I'm hungry. Let me eat a piece of chicken with maggots in it. Let me bring out a raw steak. What is he doing with the raw steak? He's going to chew on the raw steak. He's going to cook the raw steak. Before you know it, he's pulling his face off. And he's disgusting.
That's
You gotta
the
let it. You
greatest
gotta let it
thing.
get the room temp.
Remember, God. All right, so years ago, I see Henry Rollins live, right, doing a spoken word, and he talked about sneaking out with his friend in DC to see The Exorcist and was scared to death, right? And then he snuck out again to see it with another friend to see that he was prove that he was tough. Like, I'll go see it again. I wasn't scared. But the second time he went to a theater in an all-black neighborhood, and somebody made a fucking comment. Like, they're making comments at the screen, and somebody made a comment that was so funny that the whole vibe was different. And he made a comment that was so funny, it ruined the whole movie. Now the movie was hilarious, right? I was scared to death of Poltergeist. Poltergeist was what, 84, 85?
84,
something like that?
Something like that.
So I was 9 or 10 years old. Okay.
Okay. I'll say 84 because Toby Hooper put out Life Force, which is a terrible movie. Space vampires, naked French space vampires. I think that came out in 86, and that was after Poltergeist.
Okay, so it's 84, 85.
I know all this shit.
So
why can't he make money? You're talking about this shit. I know about all this shit I can't make money at. Go ahead, Chris.
He puts out they do Poltergeist. That we watch it, scared the crap out of me. We then started to watch it on a regular basis. And that scene where the guy starts pulling became the scene you rewound a million times and paused and laughed at. And all of a sudden the movie wasn't scary anymore. Right. And then I went back and watched it. I watched it as an adult and was like, perfect example. Same thing. So I watched it as an adult. If you remember, Jim and I watched The Fly one time, and I hadn't seen The Fly since I was a little kid.
Holds up, by the way.
Great movie. But the scene where the fly's in the web and he's like, help me.
Oh, the original.
Help me. The original one, not the Cronenberg. Cronenberg one would be awesome forever. But even the Vincent Price one's a great fucking movie. But the scene, I remember like being excited to see the scene where the fly was like, oh, help me, when the spider was going to eat him. I looked at it and I was like, oh no. Because when I was a kid, I was terrified of it. And I looked at it as an adult and I was like, oh no. Yeah, I know. But I was just like, I had different, like, fucking, I remembered it differently.
Right.
So like you see these things and then you're just like, oh, I mean, Jesus, we were afraid of the fucking space vampire from Buck Rogers. And that fucking thing was just, yeah.
I'll go through a little bit of a list I've got off the top of my head, and you tell me if you see any of these, you have any thoughts. But before that, Chris, one of the funniest things you can do in the month of October is go see a scary movie in a movie theater that's largely in a black area.
Oh God, yeah.
It totally changes the experience.
It's amazing.
It is so fucking funny. I remember we went to see the first It movie. Not the is it Michael Keaton? Yeah, the one from 5 or so years ago.
Yeah.
And a group of dudes screaming, and one of them ran down the steps, and the only thing out of his mouth was just he been in the sewer. He screamed that out, and I was just like, my girlfriend and I were just like, well, he has been in the sewer.
You gotta remember, like so. I don't mean to hold on. Let me just real quick. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you real fast. We went through an It already, right? That was on television, and it really, I mean, for a TV movie, was not bad. I mean, it was, it was It on TV. So I didn't see. So you expect, what you're going to see, right? Like I can only imagine being like 20. And seeing that movie, or like 17 and seeing that for the first time.
I can't get over the fact that the guy was more terrified of the guy being actually in a sewer.
Well, he's just like, it was like, he means it because he's been in the sewer waiting for it.
And that's the beginning of the movie. That's the first 5 minutes.
Screaming, and we were just like, well, this is no longer a scary movie. This is just a funny experience.
You can see me on video, I think. Blow my nose. I apologize.
Yeah, don't pass out. A little coming out the back end.
I'm laughing too hard. I'm farting. I'm laughing. Oh God,
that came through.
Let me go on mute for a minute. You guys talk.
A couple that I try to watch every year. Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think it's
great.
So old.
It's the same song every time. Creature from the Black Lagoon.
So good, I love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Talk about kitschy, like all of the charm in the world. That movie. I don't. This is
Man.
maybe a deep cut. Gargoyles.
Oh fuck
I think
yeah,
it's from the
dude.
70s when it's the actual gargoyles outside the buildings become alive. That was the first time in my life I saw the classic "What's at the end of your bed" scene. Like I think they're tucked
Wait.
into bed and the gargoyle comes over the. This is like a
Oh.
TV movie from the 70s. I
They
used to have
lived
it on
in a
VHS.
they lived in a cave.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
You
okay,
go.
yeah. I
I've
remember
never
that.
seen it.
You sure you have? We watched it together. You're just probably too young to remember.
I'm just, yeah, you're right. I probably watched when we were little kids.
Oh yeah, that was
That's
one of those movies that I was like, yeah, I fucking love this movie. I can't wait for Gargoyles to air.
That's a
Okay.
rewatchable.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Not directly horror. Zodiac with Robert Downey. It's one of my favorite movies. It's horror in the sense that it's so creepy, and there's nothing creepier than like the real serial killer that's never been caught. And what's interesting about that movie is there's so many people that could be the Zodiac, and they all can't be. But it's just like how there's just so many fucking creeps out there that you run into
Beggars.
either. Yeah. It's just like even who's not the Zodiac, just digging into the underworld of a city. There's creeps everywhere. That movie's so fucking good. Signs, I love.
Good.
I still quote "Swing Away, Meryl" all the time. What are you gonna say about Signs?
One thing about Signs, well, it's just his movies in general. M. Night Shyamalan. Once the special nature of it, the spoil is up. Once you find out the twist at the end, the rewatchability for me kind of dies off. I mean, I watched Sixth Sense a bunch of times. That was very good. Signs is another one I watched a bunch. But
Yeah, I liked it. I think it might be a local. He certainly is. I like the local aspect of it, like Joaquin Phoenix being the older brother that didn't move out of the house and being like the early conspiracy theory guy and the fucking like looking up Mexican news story, being like, I think I found.
Hat. He's
Yeah.
news, like underneath the stairs, watching this news broadcast, like, oh, there's an alien. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Charming. I think that's it. The Hubie Halloween. Yeah. You can watch Ray Liotta. Someone throw up on Ray Liotta, but
in his eyes.
in his eyes.
Chris, anything to add to this?
No, I'm trying to think of any of the. Oh, I'll tell you a really good one where everybody's a piece of shit and a creep. Troll.
Never seen it.
The original Troll.
Yep.
When they're
It's got like pretty much anybody that's ever been on a episode of Law and Order in a starring role.
Yeah.
Including Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Is she in that? I forgot.
Yeah. She's the dancer. Yeah.
We saw it in the movie theater, I think.
You did. I did not see it.
Yeah. Oh, and I got another one that would that's fantastic because we talked about this the other day. I was trying to think of one of the horror movies I watched already, and that was Creepshow. That's one I'll watch a million times.
The original Creepshow, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the series. They have a series out.
No, I haven't seen the series, but a lot of those anthology series, the majority of the episodes are crap, i.e. The Twilight Zone.
Yeah. So many
but there's that one and Swamp Thing. It's not really a horror movie, but I'll watch that one a million times. And people are like, I always tell people I saw this in the movie theater and I didn't see E.T. Like if anybody brings up,
it was The Thing.
What do you
We
mean?
had a choice. We could see Swamp Thing or The Thing. They both came out the same weekend.
No. But when we went to go see Swamp Thing, the trailer for E.T. was on Swamp Thing.
That was it.
Yeah, and I remember I always say like that year we had the choice to see that year when people say like if they talk about E.T. I said I didn't see E.T. that year. I saw Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
It had Adrian Barbeau in it.
Yeah,
and I'll never forget my stepfather watching. We were watching it at home. It was on TV at home, and he's doing this because she's in the water in the swamp bathing, right?
Barbeau, yeah.
With the water right over her nipples, and he's going like this to the TV. He's trying to look down it. We're little kids. We're like, and he's like,
my stepfather used to take Christmas carols and just make them dirty when we were like 5 and 6. And to this day, I can't sing.
You have an example?
Oh,
yeah, the greatest one of ever. I still say it.
Yeah.
Ring-a-ling, suck my thing. Soon it will be Christmas Day.
That's the actual lyrics. I can't get them out. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Ring-a-ling, suck my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just timeless.
He's a joyful man.
Wonderful human.
I've been walking around my house to that fucking Matthew Strider song.
Go ahead.
Going, nobody's gonna suck me dry. Nobody's gonna blow me clean. Oh no. And my girlfriend just has it like stuck in her head, and she's just like, God damn it. Why do you get this shit stuck in my head? Nobody's gonna suck me dry. So stupid. Sorry, we're just kicking it tonight, I guess. But one I like a lot, and a lot of this stuff's from my dad. Outer Limits, was that around when you were
Yeah, it was on reruns. Yeah. It's on
When you
channel
were a kid?
57, I believe.
there? You go.
Speaking of channel 57, apparently Women of Wrestling is on there. WOW. I
Really?
had no idea. I just saw it pop up, and they got like a 250,000 people watched it.
Well, that's good.
That is good.
I mean, just
on
in
Saturday nights, it's basically syndication. It's like Saturday nights in Philly. It's like Saturday nights 11 p.m.
nice.
I guess I'll check it out if I'm around. I'm not going to go out of my way to
It's
check it out.
supposed to be good.
It's getting
You double that
250,000.
and you get AEW's numbers.
You're getting more than Rampage on a Saturday night at fucking 11 o'clock.
Probably.
Fuck,
Yeah.
man. Jesus Christ.
Shall we go through Rampage real quick?
Yeah, go through it. Go through Dynamite. We might as well get this on wrestling.
Let's talk about it.
We were actually let me just say this real quick before you start. We were actually sitting here before the podcast talking about how we had nothing we wanted to talk about. And is this going to be one of those 35-minute podcasts? We're at an hour and 5 minutes already.
Been recording that long? See, I see
Everybody's
recording
gonna suck
numbers,
me
Chris.
dry.
Oh, what are your recording numbers
6
at?
minutes, we're at.
Oh, okay. All
Almost
right.
an
No,
hour.
I'm
That's good.
at full. Almost an hour.
All
Got
right, I'm just for all this. Let me know if you want to talk about it. Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. How about Wheeler Yuta versus MJF?
Yeah, we could talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Go ahead, Brian.
My only thought when I was watching this was that because of the technical wrestling issues with the show so consistently, MJF has in his first match in Lord knows how long is able to slot into this spot where him just doing like logical things is now going to put him right to the top as like a winner. And I don't know that I have a great point to be made about that, but I'm like, oh, okay, like this fucking guy's gonna luck into another win, despite, in my opinion, his lack of skill, just because everything else makes such little sense.
I'll tell you, MJF looks like he put on some fucking weight. He looks like he's bulked up since he was gone for all this time. Chris, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got. It had some weird. I couldn't understand what was going on in the end with the ring. Was he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Are we toying around with this?
Facing. He's baby facing.
Yeah.
They have no choice. Everybody cheers him.
I did hear an interview with Jericho where he was talking about how he told them like, when you come back, you're gonna be a babyface whether you like it or not.
Right.
And
better learn how to do it.
Yep.
Speaking of which,
but they brought him in as such a heel again.
That's what everybody loves.
I get it, but it's just like you brought him in as such a heel. You pretended he was going to be a babyface. You immediately made him a heel, immediately with the same old heely crap. And now you're looking at him being a babyface, and it took like 3 weeks to go through all this. And here we are.
I don't think we're anywhere near him being a true babyface. I think he's completely going to go back the other way. But it's just like here's a hint of that he has some humanity to him.
Well, yeah, and then we're gonna have him have these noble. Do these somewhat noble acts, but still be a piece of shit that insults everybody, because that's what people pay to see. They don't pay to see him running in happy and slapping, high-fiving people. They pay to be insulted by him.
Right. I guess my point is like the rest of the shit has been so uncompelling, and like that he can just kind of walk into this spot that shouldn't be interesting, and it's going to get like the biggest pops because now he's the guy that's compelling as someone that will roll away from a frog splash when no one else would do that because it's all about spots.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of which, the actual heel of the show, during the National Scissoring Day between the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, the real heel of AEW, Swerve Strickland, comes out and interrupts fucking National Scissoring Day. Man, I haven't heard somebody get booed that bad in a long time in a fucking wrestling show. Brandon, thoughts?
I don't even remember this. You got to explain it to me. This was Wednesday. I watched this.
So they came out and they did this whole like, it's Scissoring Day, man. They had a fucking podium. They were doing this speech and everybody's getting ready. Oh, we're the Acclaimed, blah, blah, blah. The whole routine. They got Billy Gunn out there. And then Swerve Strickland came out and interrupted, and came out with a stone. And he's like, "Rock breaks scissors," which was terrible. And then, but I mean, the place fucking lost their shit because they interrupted National Scissoring Day. Because, dude, the Acclaimed are fucking one of the biggest fucking acts in AEW now. Like, everybody goes nuts for them. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very smart decision, and it feels like from the press conference, Swerve and Keith Lee like inserting themselves back into this picture and not taking the road of like, well, we had the titles, now we're going to take a break. I think they can get more heat here in these kind of roles, and they've been one of the more interesting things on the show.
Chris?
I just think it's funny how I just thought of this, that it seems to have been a pattern in professional wrestling over the last 10 years or so, when they just don't know when to pull people the fuck back, right? Like you see it in WWE. You would see it we saw it for the last 10, 15 years in WWE. We're seeing it now in AEW, where it's like, you have the Acclaimed win this title, and now they lost the title match on a pay-per-view to this team. Then they beat this team in a rematch, right? And now that they've beat them, now this team is back. It's like, doesn't it serve you to serve up somebody else and have something new, and then bring Swerve and Keith Lee back at a later date? They don't know when to end the sketch, right? Like Saturday Night Live used to do that, where the sketch just went too fucking long. All these sketches go too long. And by sketch, I mean like this little rivalry that we have. You don't have to have them fight every week. You can have them go away for a bit and come back and be the foil all the time. Like, okay, you've gotten this far. Here we are to fuck up your party again. And then disappear a little bit and then come back and disappear and come back. Here it's like, all right, you wrestled once, you wrestled twice, you won the championship. Okay, next chapter, we're just going to go back to the beginning of the chapter you just read. It's just, I just don't fucking. I guess it's a pattern that we've been on for years. They need to break it.
Who else are we going to plug in to face the Acclaimed after this?
At this point, doesn't matter if you're just you have to
pick somebody. Pick somebody.
The Gun Club.
Okay.
I just picked them at random.
Okay.
Penta and then Phoenix. Anyone.
Okay.
I'm just saying it could be the Varsity Blondes. Right? They don't have to have a massive program. Give us something. Give us a slew of tag teams that you decide you're just going to go on this fucking crazy run and beat the shit out of every tag team that comes up. It's not like you don't just drag people up from whatever town you're in.
Right.
Have them beat them one week. Have them be fucking somebody from Ring of Honor. Have them beat this one, that one, this one, that one. Have them beat some people from New Japan. And then eventually, oh, you're on this great run? Guess what? We're back. We're going to fucking spoil it. We do a run-in when everybody forgot that we existed. Give them a chance. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Give people a chance to miss that thing that they really liked. They'll forget how much they liked it. And then when you bring it back, they'll be excited again.
The only reason I disagree with you, Chris.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Sorry. The only reason I disagree with you, Chris, is because I genuinely think how I see this company is like an indie promotion where the workers are kind of running the factory, and you can push yourself along. I think in this situation for Swerve and Keith Lee, the reason they lost the belts was because the night of that CM Punk press conference, they came on next, and Tony Khan kind of freaked out when they asked him about what happened with the match with the Acclaimed. And he's like, yeah, we should rebook that maybe for Grand Slam. And I don't think that was a planned thing. And you could see on their face that night, they were like, what the fuck are you talking about, a rematch? I don't think that was like a scripted planned thing. So in this place where the workers run the factory, they immediately insert themselves if they lose on a bullshit thing. And they're like, whoa, we didn't actually lose. That was bullshit. We're not going away just yet. That to me makes sense for them as like independent performers trying to get themselves over. And I'm like, good for them for that.
Oh, well, then I mean, them doing that and then coming back and all the things that you said make perfect sense. But to me, it doesn't make the story any more compelling.
Right, of course.
To me, I've been watching this story for a fucking month now. Time to move on. We've already had you already had the build, the climax, and then the collapse.
How about if I put this carrot out there? it leads to Keith Lee versus Swerve Scott, essentially. Because Keith Lee was not
Yeah.
involved in this promo at all
And they've been teasing that for a long time now.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the end game of this to break them.
Could
apart.
be. You know, could be. Look,
I think Swerve and Keith Lee are both better off as a singles wrestler. This was kind of these dudes came together just to kind of get each other over. That's the term to use. But I think when it comes down to it, each of them need to be singles or leaders of a faction of some type. Good.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but I guess all I could say is like I found them interesting as a tag team, and for all of the shit that happens on this show, I was certainly not in a rush to break them up or pull the titles from them. So, and maybe this is my fault that I'm the guy that's not watching wrestling the way Chris is describing, where he's like, this story's over, and I'm looking at it like from a fucking tops down, including Tony Khan in the story perspective. But I would still like to see them get something else out of this.
Final thoughts, Chris, on that?
yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you right from the beginning that I thought that this entire scissoring day thing was a complete waste of television time. I didn't
I think it was for the live audience, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. What I'm saying is like I was just kind of like, all right, we're doing this. I have to wait through this to get to the next thing.
Oh, I agree.
And now I have to wait through this thing that I've seen a million times. I have to wait through another version of that thing I've seen a million times. So I'm gonna go up and take a poop because I'm not into this anymore. And look, I go when I make my when I kind of come up with my commentary on something, I do it based on what did I think the moment it happened. And when the moment it happened, I was like, oh, okay. And I left. Now that's me, I was just like, all right, we're still here. I'm not sitting here going, they should push this guy. They should push that guy. I don't give a fuck who they push. I don't care who their fucking champions are. It doesn't fucking matter to me. I don't think like what we see online, they're holding him down and this one did this and that's why he's champ. I don't give a fuck. It's a fucking TV show and I want it to be interesting.
Right.
So whatever story is going to make it, what's that?
But we haven't mentioned certain things that happened.
Exactly.
It's been talked about fucking ad nauseum at this point.
Right. Like, all right. Perfect example, and we'll move on. Jericho winning the Ring of Honor title. All of a sudden, because Jericho is good at what he does, all of a sudden the Ring of Honor title could be compelling. Because you have somebody that I want to watch and who is entertaining there. It's not necessarily the best worker. It's not necessarily the best whatever. Oh, he's not believable. He doesn't look like I'm guilty of saying that sometimes, so maybe I should dial that back. But it's like, okay, we have a thing that nobody cares about, really. Nobody ever. And when I say nobody, I've been to Ring of Honor shows. There's not a lot of people at them. They can't sell out 2,300 arena. So for all intents and purposes, nobody gives a shit. Let's take this thing that nobody gives a shit about and attach it to somebody that people actually do fucking like, and then we can lift that thing up and make it compelling. Because whatever you gave fucking Jericho a scarf, he got it over. You gave him a fucking clipboard, he got it over. Right? So it made it compelling. It doesn't have anything to do with so-and-so deserves it. It's whatever makes the television show worth watching is what I want to have.
Yeah.
And
this just didn't make it worth watching. To me.
Real quick before I move on. The whole thing with Jericho with the Ring of Honor title is to build equity in Ring of Honor. I see what they're doing. We're going like 3 weeks straight where they're just like Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor. They're trying to sell this.
Yes.
This is something that they want to get on television to make money off of. Whether or not it turns into AEW NXT, they're developmental, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But this is why he has the title. He's going to lose it to someone. Probably someone with some kind of like a Bandito or somebody that has some kind of Ring of Honor cachet. You know what I mean? That's what they're building to. So it's the reason it's been on TV. They've been talking about Ring of Honor nonstop for weeks. And the reason why is because they want to build equity to sell it as a television show that could be streaming or whatever. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't have any comments about the Ring of Honor thing. I think I completely agree with you. My point about the original match we were talking about, just to summarize it, is like, I guess I just think Swerve and Our Glory could be a fucking sick tag team. We watch a lot of tag teams that are just immediately, we're like, this isn't going to be good. That one, I was like, this could be something. Let's not rush to break it up. There's not a lot of spots on the single side of this company, whether you like it or not. It just seems to be the politics of it.
It's contrasting styles always works. It's entertaining. So I mean, like, I like who's the two bald guys? Who's the bald guy and the other guy?
FTR.
FTR.
I like FTR, but they're the same dude. They're interchangeable. They do the same shit. I like the contrasting style. I like the Daniel Bryan and Kane. You know what I mean? Like, I like that type of shit.
And they just have, exactly. Team Hell No. They just have weird personalities that I'm like, what could these guys, like, what would they, how do they get along? This guy's like a fucking Shakespeare, like Chris was joking about. This one guy talks like Shakespeare, talks like fucking Hamlet, and the other guy is the rap star personality. Like, I want to see what they do. Yeah.
Right. If they work together, they could probably put on some pretty decent promos and stuff, too. So entertaining promos could be fun. I don't. All right, final thoughts on this, Brandon. Or Chris.
I think I covered it.
Brandon, you got anything else?
Killing time.
Yep. How about pass out? TNT Championship, Wardlow, and they pulled the mothballs off of the Machine Brian Cage. There you go. We're supposed to care about it. Good match though. It was entertaining. Chris, thoughts? Or Brandon, thoughts?
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, I love, I'm a big fan of Brian Cage. Just seemed like he was just kind of like, I don't fucking care. Still was part of one of my favorite matches in AEW since we've been watching. So fucking that, pandemic recorded Sting and Darby Allin thing in the warehouse. I mean, so I'm a big fan. Wardlow is what he is. He works well as a babyface, but this was a lot of fun. Two super athletic, ridiculously huge guys. So good stuff. Yeah, definitely worth watching, like a TV show, a TV wrestling match on a fucking Wednesday night. Fucking A, man.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, I agree. Wardlow's or Brian Cage is one of those guys that you kind of look at and you're like, it's a shame. I don't know what more to do with you, but you certainly are a fucking pro wrestler. You look like a pro wrestler.
You look like, act like, everything.
And
Wardlow's one of these guys. It's Wardlow and there's certain people in this roster that look like stars. A guy that you would stick like on ESPN to talk about professional wrestling. Wardlow is one of them. Jade Cargill's another one.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Like, these are people that should be like, they have that pro wrestling look to them. That's, it's the reason why you see like Roman Reigns is all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, they got the size, they got the shape, they got the hair, they got the whole fucking routine. Wardlow's one of them. He's going to be facing this company for a long time. Good.
Jade Cargill. Like,
Jade.
They need to lay into those people a little bit where it's like, if it's your first time watching, you should see Brian Cage and be like, he's definitely going to beat the fuck out of some people.
Right. Like you have, like, somebody comes over and they've never seen it before and you're like, oh, I'm watching AEW, and whatever, put it on. And be like, oh, wait do you see fucking Jade Cargill? She's fucking ridiculous looking.
Someone's getting fired into the seats. Yeah.
That's kind of funny because we watched. Brandon was watching football, I believe, or baseball. And a very important baseball game, and I was watching WWE. I turned on WWE and I watched their pay-per-view. And we had just got done watching a movie. I was like, let me throw on this WWE pay-per-view real quick. We turned it on. It was just in case. It was just in time for the Bayley match, Bayley versus Bianca Belair. And we watched that. It wasn't great, but it was fun. It was good. But then the next match was the I Quit match between Finn Balor and the Canadian guy.
Edge.
The legendary Edge. So we put it on, and my wife's like, I'm like, well, we can turn this off. It's an I Quit match. It's going to stink. She's like, well, they're both really good looking. And I was like, yes, they are. They are very attractive men. Let's watch this movie. Or watch this match. So there you go. The faces of the company. Put them on posters. Sell stuff. You get people that don't watch wrestling to do it. I guarantee Wardlow and Jade Cargill are the ones that do it in this company.
My wife did that.
Yeah,
She'd
it's a
be
good
sleeping
point.
in the car.
I don't care. I don't care.
I'd be like, you better get you told about anybody but me.
Both of
I'm
us
the
were
only handsome
both
man
of
in
us
the
were
earth.
asleep 10 minutes into that match. I warned her ahead of time. I was like, I gotta warn you, like it's a no quit match. It's an I quit match, so there's gonna be a referee jamming a microphone in their face saying,
Okay.
"You quit."
No! I have a story.
Go ahead.
I know somebody who was at this pay-per-view. And he was right there. I haven't watched this, so I'm not going to go back and watch it. But he said, if you watch it, I'm all over the camera in that I quit match. He's like, and me being me, trying to help. At one point, they were throwing the cords, so they'd be able to have the mic or whatever they needed the cable for, probably for the camera or whatever. And he's like, I grabbed the camera and threw it forward for the for the guy, and the guy looked at me and he went, Don't
touch my stuff.
And he was just like,
Yeah, it's a shame. I was watching the Phillies, but I had Peacock on my phone because I wanted to see Daniel Cormier. Some of these new apps now have this thing where if you screenshot the video that you're watching, it blacks it out.
Yep.
Really?
So you look at your screenshot and it's just a black screen.
Yeah.
I just think that is like one of the dumbest things for business possible. Like I'm trying to share a WWE photo with you guys and you're not allowing me to do it. What is the fucking purpose of that?
Talk to New Japan. They won't let you post a single GIF. They'll knock you down.
I hate
It
that
hurts their
shit.
business.
I want to send a funny picture of Daniel Cormier grabbing Riddle to you guys, and it's just the WWE's like, no, I can't. Like that wouldn't be acceptable.
You have to take a
Okay,
picture
cool.
of your TV.
Yeah, I won't talk about it then.
No
Fucker.
one talks about fucking New Japan anymore. You know why? Because you don't see GIFs of the cool shit anymore.
That's
You used
true.
to.
Yeah,
Back in the day, you used to. Now
that's
you
a new
don't.
thing from them, huh?
Last, I don't know.
Relatively.
Yeah, like last 5 years. Back in the day, I wouldn't have known anything about New Japan until I saw fucking GIFs of Shinsuke Nakamura, and I was just like, whoa, who the fuck is this Michael Jackson motherfucker? I got to start watching New Japan.
I think even less than that. Like you see Kota Ibushi slam somebody directly on their neck. You're like, wow, that was ugly, but I got to see what this is.
Yeah, they strike it down. TV Asahi, cool place. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, how about a good women's wrestling match on AEW? Can you believe it? Strangely, no dentist involved in this match. Athena, Willow Nightingale, and Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford, and Serena Deeb. Brandon, thoughts?
Well, she ended up being involved. I think she came out right after.
She wasn't in the ring though, thank God.
Yeah, this was fucking fun, and it. We talked about Kenny Omega maybe booking this stuff, and it certainly felt like it here because it was a clearly different decision making than what's going on with the rest of the show. And we get Willow Nightingale with a monster like pile driver and the pin, which is so not AEW. And I'm sure you were thrilled about that, Jim. You went up to Easton to check out.
I love some Willow Nightingale. Athena looked great, Chris. Thoughts?
I don't care. I don't care. Same 8 people wrestling over and over again.
Sorry, I'm choking to death. By the way, Jay Lethal was on national television again.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks is on national television again. Jay Lethal was on national television again. Darby Allin was involved in the match. That was a good match. Hangman Page and Rush sucked.
Can I just real quick?
Yes.
He is a fucking dud.
That
Hangman.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying it again. The guy is just a fucking dud, man. Like, what the fuck? And he's going to be back in the title picture again against the non-duddest of non-duds, Mox. Like super non-dud versus, hey, I'm here.
People love him, man.
You
don't get it. You know why you don't get it?
Because I'm fucking not cowboy shit.
If there's ever been a min, it's the Hangman.
Yes.
Hangman.
Hangman. The Hangman and the Rushman.
Now let's go back. And like I said, secret meeting. We're going to bring in Roosh. He's going to cause some problems in AEW by losing to everyone.
They showed his record. He's now officially 500.
Fuck. Way to go, guys.
Final thoughts on AEW Dynamite this week, Chris.
I got nothing.
Brandon?
I'm bored.
I don't have anything. I did have a topic I'd like to talk about if you don't have
Yes,
any
go
other
ahead.
thoughts. The Shinzaki diary thing that you sent us. Chris, did you read that?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did go through some of it.
Let's say his name properly before
Sorry.
I'm gonna butcher it.
Jinsei Shinzaki. He used to
What-
be what was his name in WWE?
I can't remember.
Hakushi. His name is Hakushi.
Hakushi.
I fucking said Shinzaki.
You did a good job. Go ahead.
We should post it or something. I don't know if we will, but I just found out to be the most interesting thing I've read about wrestling in a little while. It's basically just like this kayfabe diary of a Japanese wrestler that's coming over as a jobber and like struggling to fit in that mid '90s WWF at the time, which was not any good on its own. And he's like talking about like things I found interesting where he's like he kept having to wrestle Bob Holly, and it was
Holly
clear
over
that
and over.
clear that there's no communication between the two, which is shocking to me every time that these guys are going to go on live TV and wrestle each other and they wouldn't speak for a minute about what they were going to do. That's
Called
Chris.
it all in the ring, I guess.
That's Chris. Yeah, when they don't have a there's a language barrier between the two. It's just a compelling story. I felt like.
It's grown that that Twitter thread. He added a bunch more shit to it. I haven't seen a lot of this stuff. Today's match was I'll read it to you. Okay, here's the new one. June 3rd, 1995 in Rockford, Illinois versus Bret Hart. Today's match was useless. Partly because the audience was tired. Having had a good match at In Your House recently, it seemed like I am much more sluggish. Feel half-hearted in everything I do. I have hit a wall since coming here. If I don't break through, I will never get to the top. I have to do more. Direct with fans, bring out my opponent's good points. Reflected a lot on everything after today. The number of fans that showed up was bad also. I have to do something. If you guys want to check this out, it's on Twitter. User, it's at BAHUFMW. It's Bahu FMW. This guy is like the number one English speaking, call him scholar of FMW history. And he posted this whole thing. It's really fucking cool.
I just don't think these guys even today get enough credit but to read those stories about like has to do a fucking squash match in Los Angeles during a January where the weather's okay, but then he ends up getting stuck in Kansas City staying with Saito for a day before he gets to New York, but there's a blizzard. So Bull Nakano has to be the one to call him and say, hey, the next 4 shows are canceled. Go ahead and figure out what to do with yourself for 9 days before you have another shitty match with Bob Holly. And the guy's like really doesn't know anyone. The guy's really trying to figure out what he should do with himself, but he never stood a chance in the fucking first place because they were never going to give it to him. It's like, man.
I'll read you another one. Ready?
This is a compelling story.
April 2nd, the day after April Fool's Day, 1995 in Hartford. Today is WrestleMania 11. There was a morning breakfast party with Undertaker, Paul Bearer, Doink, Adam Bomb, Mr. Saito, and Bull Nakano. The sight of all these wrestlers eating quietly is just like the Addams family. No match today. I was hoping I could barge into Brett's match, but then he says the show today was very bad. Was very bad. Okay, this is I'm going to read it verbatim. So the show today was very bad at all until the main event. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor, a pro football player. The match was good, and LT had star quality. Bigelow apparently made $1 million for that match. I was amazed when I heard that. Bigelow was overjoyed with tears in his eyes when he realized that he became the most famous wrestler in the world today. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like hey, it's innocence or what, but I thought it was WrestleMania. Maybe it was In Your House or something. But he's like, I was hoping I could barge in on Bret Hart's match. It's like,
Well,
dude, you never fucking had a.
No.
He was working an angle. He was working an angle with Hart.
No,
Okay.
yeah. He Bret Hart wanted to work with him so bad.
Well, he
Bret
said
Hart
that.
loved him.
He said that, or that came up in that. But
Yeah, I from listening to the guy that desperately wants to be involved in professional wrestling that he puts a geriatric man that's on the brink of death into a wrestling match. From listening to his podcast years ago, with Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard will tell the story a certain way, but if you have any fucking idea about how the average man, especially somebody in that position, in that group of people, thinks, they treated Hakushi like shit. He was the fucking butt of every fucking joke that they could tell. He will tell it like, oh yeah, we were just kidding around with him. No, you were bullying fucking shit out of him. Don't tell me you weren't. It's just this like, hey, if you can't take it, maybe you shouldn't be here. That kind of behavior that obviously went around in professional wrestling in those days. But Brandon, I believe you said something about how almost it seemed like a negative.
sorry, Hakushi's that's his first name. Just with
What? Again.
Hakushi was his name. Hakushi was his name in WWF.
Okay, Jinsei Sasaki's name.
I was not aware of this guy until you sent the thing. So
good.
So because I remember we saw him and we're like, Jimmy and I saw him. We're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, I watched him in
he was in New
Michinoku
Japan
Pro.
Oh, Michinoku Pro. That's where they were getting a lot of their guys from, right? But what's most interesting to me, because I saw it as like this honest, I'm going to give myself this honest inventory of what is going on and what I need to do better to get better and to break through. And like you said, he was never going to break through. It just wasn't going to happen. It wouldn't happen now. It certainly wasn't going to happen in what was this, the early 90s?
He had a good run, though.
Right.
Like a year. He had a good run with Bret Hart. Bret Hart wanted to work with him.
Yeah. Bret Hart liked him.
WWE stunk at that time.
Oh, yeah. Maybe if he had come in as like
a plumber. Oh, you know what he should come in?
I was trying to think of something like Japanese what is a Japanese job?
The rice farmer.
Yeah,
no, more like the ramen chef.
Yeah, like sushi chef. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Let's dumb it down. Let's dumb it down as much as we can, right?
Or this guy.
Wait a minute.
He's Asian and he doesn't have a job that's Asian. Why is he a trash man?
Or like, oh, you see this guy coming to the ring now. They found him in an island on the South Pacific. He still thought World War II was going on. Like that kind of shit. And he's like, fucking McHale's Navy with the fucking slanted eyes and big teeth.
He's like Viet Cong. He's been underground since the...
Yeah, like, they were still finding men in the jungle that thought the war was on in 1996.
Yeah, it's a very cool read. It's just interesting for a guy that was like hopeful. He went over there and he was just like, yeah, maybe I can make it.
He's like, I can't figure out how to connect with these people.
I just can't figure it out. I mean, Kansas City. I'm stuck in Kansas City. It's a snowstorm. I can't get over it with these people. Can't figure it out.
Do you go into like, hindsight, right? Like, all right, just say like, somehow you manage to go back in time. You put your body, your now brain with everything back into your old body, into your 20-year-old body, and you get into the wrestling business. And you realize, that through the years you have already lived, that you've seen that it is the lowest form of understanding and emotional growth and personal growth. A majority of the fan base is that, right? So there's no real trick, right? You have to dumb everything down to the base level. You need to come out and insult sports teams.
There you go.
We may think it's stupid. We may think it's stupid, but guess what? 90% of that arena is going to fucking hate you for it. And they're going to pay money to watch you lose because you made fun of the fucking Eagles. End of story.
Wrestling's dumb. Wrestling is hard. It's hard to watch.
Yes.
That's why we called ourselves that. At times, it's just really fucking stupid. But it's not for us. I think it's for really dumb people. You have to get over with really dumb people to pay the bills.
Exactly. And I think what we do by nature, most of us do, is we overcomplicate shit. And we think if I do this thing, they're going to think I'm such a genius. Nah. Nope. Daniel Bryan, later known as Bryan Danielson, nobody gave a shit until he started yelling yes. Then everybody thought he was fucking great. Right? Then they realized, holy shit, this guy's really good in the fucking ring. But a majority of the fans were like, what is he doing?
Vince was like, "Oh, he kind of looks like a goat." And they were like, "Yeah, let's make you the goat guy."
Yeah, the goat. Oh, great. Fucking you and Terry Taylor can team up as the
You're
Red
the
Bruce.
That
goat,
should
man.
go well for me. Puke.
Thanks, Vince.
You can puke on command. Be puke.
Feed the
Oh.
puke man.
Now he shits in a bag, that guy. Now he's bag shitter. I'm going fucking. I get the flames are just engulfing me.
All right.
If he coughs really hard, will he pass out? All right, next week on AEW, Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson for the Ring of Honor Championship. We get Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. And Hikaru Shida's back. We get Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Also, don't we have Battle of the Belts or something this weekend?
That was Friday night.
Was it really?
Yeah, I didn't fucking watch it. It fucking said turned
What are
off
the
by all
numbers
this
on that?
shit.
What's Brandon Thurston say about the numbers on that? They got.
He's gonna say it was the greatest wrestling fucking show ever.
Nah, Brandon Thurston's fucking. He just. Puts
He's
out
a
numbers,
fucking
man.
Wrestling Observer guy.
Brandon Thurston.
I think so. Yeah, he's a Tony Khan nerd. Yeah, he is.
Are you sure about that, Chris?
Yeah.
Brandon Thurston, the guy that puts out just stats constantly.
Yeah, I think there's some connection. I could be wrong.
I think you are wrong.
All right.
I forget what his thing is, but he just puts out stats. Yeah, I wonder what the numbers are for good old Dynamite on or Rampage. I know it stinks. It's almost as bad as WOW, which airs Saturday nights at 11 p.m. in Philadelphia. Brady,
I'm not
excited
sure
for,
if
this week's AEW.
I'm not sure if someone slipped a couple Perk 30s into my coffee or we're talking about a Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus main event, but I'm nodding off into the microphone right now.
God. Next week, let's talk about some New Japan. Let's get caught up on New Japan. How about that? Sound fun?
Mm-mm.
They got some stuff going on.
Do they?
Their last
They got a
show,
brown
man, was
belt?
Amazing. Jonah versus Okada apparently was fucking bomb. I haven't watched it yet, though.
Did you end up going on the fucking other podcast?
What's that?
Did you end up going on the other pod
No, it's next week.
next week?
That's the 18th.
I thought it was next week, last week.
Glad we talked about horror movies because I'm going to be on a horror movie bracket. Best horror movie of all time. I've looked at the bracket so far. It's a little vague, so I have to iron out some details about it. Spoil anything.
Is it The Shining?
Shining is on there. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Leprechaun's on there. Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead. I was going to mention that one. That's another
Pumpkinhead's a
good
good one. Assuming this is randomized. Bride of Frankenstein's on here.
I think I would go. Would you go Shining 1? Is that crazy to say?
Shining 1?
Top horror?
I don't know. It's tough. I'm a big fan of Jaws.
Jaws, yeah.
Big Jaws.
You don't
guy.
think about that as a horror movie, but it
Definitely
is.
scared the shit out of people. Psycho scared the shit out of people. The Exorcist scared the shit out of people. You think of movies like The Birds. The Birds is fucking horrifying.
Swamp Thing. It's fucking scary, bro. Especially when he lights on fire and runs into the sun. Especially when his arm grows back. Puts his arm in the sun. Or when he turns the bad guy into a fucking rat thing.
Oh, the one guy?
What was that guy's name?
We had a name for him. That actor. Pigman or something we called him.
Well, he turns his little helper into like a pig man.
Hedgeman.
Oh, it's
Hedgeman.
on Tuesday.
Now
It's
that's
on
scary.
Tubi, I believe.
Bray
There's
Wyatt's the
nothing
bad guy.
scarier than one already
Louis
being someone's
Jordan
little
as
helper and two
Anton.
then getting turned into
No,
a
you're
pig
both
man.
talking at the same time. Brandon, go ahead.
I said, now that's scary. There's nothing scarier than one being forced to be someone's little helper and then two being turned into a pig man. Go ahead, Chris.
It was Louis Jordan was the name. It was Anton Arcane was the bad
Arcane.
guy. Arcane. Yeah.
His daughter.
Oh, it was
Bray Wise is the doctor.
Bruno was the guy that got turned into a pig. He was the first guy that gets dark man makes himself
Darkman
look like.
kills. Wait, did Sam Raimi do this?
No, Wes Craven did it.
Wes Craven did it.
Yeah.
Same actors.
I do have something I forgot I wanted to talk about. A couple things.
Good.
And I'm only bringing this up. It's WWE stuff, but I'm only bringing this up because we spent a lot of time talking about some of this shit, and I think we should I should put it out there. Number one, Gallows and Anderson are back in WWE.
I didn't notice.
Holy shit. Like Gallows threw a bunch of like Shasta punches where you slap your arm and you chop the guy in the neck.
Are they wearing the tie-dye tank tops anymore?
No, they're not wearing the tie-dye tank tops. They're
back
The
in
thing
old
about
school.
them going back is because I'm terminally online. That WWE fans are like, ha ha ha. You guys loved Gallows and Anderson. Now we got him. First of all, you're weird if you pick a team in this. You
Yeah.
just don't watch professional wrestling.
right.
You're a fucking weirdo. And they're like, yeah, we got him. And you guys are really mad. It's like, good riddance.
Well, I got something for you that I thought was brilliant.
That's the Zach Ronaldo of pro wrestlers.
It
Go
is.
ahead.
I hate him.
I don't want to say anything until we find out whether or not Jim's dying over there.
Oop, I think you
Keep
went down
talking,
for a
man.
second.
Fucking the show goes on, brother. Oh my god, I'm dead.
So what was I saying? Oh, so a certain genius named Jay White is telling people that he orchestrated the takeover of the Bullet Club being in every company in the world.
I love it.
It's all his orchestration, which was
Yeah.
brilliant. But another rumor, which we don't lend any credence to, but I'm going to bring it up because I hope this is fucking true, is that WWE is extremely interested in Madison Square Taven.
I can't wait till the WWE fans realize how good he is.
And then somebody had made I don't know where I saw this at. I think I saw it on Twitter, but they made a comment that said, great, now I can tank 3 different companies. He tanked ROH, he tanked Impact. Now I can tank WWE.
I forgot he was even in Impact.
That would be one of the
Yeah.
funniest things if he became a big name in WWE. I would totally get on board with him.
He failed everywhere else, and he goes
Oh,
to WWE. It's like,
God.
this is the place. I'm fucking
This is
got
the place for me.
ain't
This is-
Madison
I just
Square
had to get to
Garden.
the big show.
Just give me a chance. Everything
Some
else
lights
I did
shine too
it was
bright.
all their fault.
Biggest return of the week. Gallows and Anderson at WWE, not the Bray Wyatt. Did you guys watch that return?
I did, yeah.
I mean, it was predictable. We all knew it was going to happen eventually, right?
Apparently got a massive pop.
He did. I mean, it was. I
for
saw
him.
it when it happened. It was cool.
And he can come back. It'll be awesome. He'll come back, right? Because he came back almost like he looked like the old school Bray Wyatt with the lantern and all that stuff.
He had all his characters.
Yeah, and he could come back. He could ramble and ramble and ramble for hours on end and then always lose. It'll
I
be
hope
great.
not. That was a Vince thing.
He'll ramble and ramble.
Dude, he used to go out there and just like talk and talk
And then
you could tell
lose.
He was just like, he even looked like what am I doing out here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this,
Hey,
this,
Seth
this."
Rollins, you think you're the master of the world. But something about Masters of the World is that I used to watch cartoon and it was called Masters of the Universe. And I'm a master of the universe.
I
And
have
you're
all the
only a
tools.
master of the world. I'm actually literally looking around my room at shit to come up with this promo that I'm doing.
I think that's always like going back to we were talking about that Japanese thing. I was like, that's always what shocks me is the lack of preparation. Like, you think in your head you could do a decent wrestling promo until Vince McMahon's like, go do 9 minutes.
He's like, yeah, I got a couple ideas
Like,
now.
oh my god, I gotta talk for 9. I gotta talk from
You
8
gotta
to
talk-
8:10.
Wait a minute. You got to talk for 9 minutes to an audience that 90% of them spends a majority of their time on fucking TikTok.
Right.
And you have to captivate them for 9 minutes. They can't be captivated for more than 30 seconds.
Right.
It's almost impossible. Right?
Right.
Like, understand this now. Like, even me, I don't go on TikTok. If you don't get to the point in less than a fucking minute, I'm out. I have so many things I want to fucking do.
That's why Vince sexually harassed all those women. Was to
Yeah,
get
so he
out.
can. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
all
That's
planned.
why he stole all that money.
Vince is always planned. No.
Oh, according to CM
that's
Punk,
Inoki.
he's still running. He's still running the show.
He might be.
I don't think he is.
Inoki stole all that money to get out. He was like, "Man, I got to die soon." Inoki.
R.I.P.
Right, so
Inoki.
yeah, New Japan. New Japan's getting hot, man. We're getting near fucking Wrestle Kingdom in 2 months.
Was it almost Castle Attack or something?
No, it was
Beat Takeshi's Castle.
Declaration of Independence or something like that. Declaration of War. Something really tough. Not King
National
of Pro Wrestling.
Treasure?
Got rid of King of Pro Wrestling.
Now it's Beat
Declaration.
Takeshi's Castle.
Takeshi's Castle. So,
When that brown TV-shaped belt.
yeah, TV belt, the TV title. So it's a 15-minute time limit, and it's going to be defended on Asahi TV, I think weekly, and it's pushed towards like faster match. I think they're scooping the high speed title idea. Younger, faster people. They're like, you know what? We're not filling stadiums. You know who is? The company that we bought, Stardom, is filling stadiums. We need to fucking copy them because we're fucking up. So they're going with a high speed belt, pretty much. They're calling it.
Okay. All right. I guess we got some homework.
Yeah, homework. Good.
You know, is it? I think what may have happened with them. I wouldn't be surprised if they
With who?
constantly New Japan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If they we talked about with the COVID thing, and a lot of it had to do with COVID. But I think that they were constantly picking the wrong, like, end date for COVID. Like, instead of just saying like, look, this is going on until they say we're done. Instead, they're like, nah, we'll do the numbers. We'll be back in like a month and a half. And then they weren't back in a month. And we'll be back in like, 3 months. No, it's fucking 4 months later and they're not back. I think it was that situation where it was like, instead of just being like, look, this is where we're at until we're told we're not here anymore. Then I think they kept looking towards the future and saying, look, we'll be out of this in 3 months. Oh, we'll be out of this in another 5 months. We'll be out of it. And it never fucking happened.
The latest big show, Jonah versus Okada, was the main event. And it was cheering. It was pretty fucking intense. The crowd was losing their shit.
That's good.
Also, did you see that the baseball league in Japan, they're not allowed to cheer. You're not allowed to openly cheer. You're only allowed to clap. But Osaka is like the Philly of Japan. And they were fucking losing their shit at their baseball game. They're being shamed online, and they're going to be fined, and their team's going to be fined. They're just like, fuck you. They don't give a shit. They're still cheering. They don't give a shit. I love Osaka. Osaka's
I'm a
great
big
town.
fan of that.
Yeah.
Why is it like the Philly of?
Because it's grimier.
Okay.
Tokyo is like New York. It's
Right.
It's cosmopolitan. Everybody's so beautiful, and everything looks so pristine. You go to Osaka, you might get cursed at. I watched a restaurant refuse a group of Chinese tourists and was cursing at them. And the Chinese tourists were like, and they were all screaming at each other in the street. I was like, tap my wife going, look at these motherfuckers. It was great.
Oh.
Tokyo, it's different. But he's very polite.
Yeah, I think it's around the world. If you get into a big enough city, it just becomes New York City. It's just like,
Becomes like, not as, I mean, it's pretty, but it's not as cool. Osaka's cool.
That's the best advice I could give anyone. Like, if you ever go travel internationally, it's like rent a car, fly to the place that you think you want to go to, and then drive away from it to like the next place.
Go
That would
someplace
be
else.
100 times more fun.
Yeah.
I was just
Always
talking to
going
my
somewhere.
friend.
Dark
I was just
alley.
talking to my friend was in the Black Forest in Germany. He's like explaining how crazy it was. Like, it's called the Black Forest because it's so dense with trees that when you see it even during the day, there's just no light in it.
Right.
And he described that it's called Freiburg is the city next to. He's like, that's very similar to Philadelphia where it's like manageable, but full of like bars and places you can kind of kick around, but not as friendly. It's like just so much more fun in those places.
Yeah. I mean, Osaka's a big city, but it's definitely not as friendly. You need a little street smarts when you're walking around there. Don't get lost after night. You might get beat up, especially drunk. I don't know how these motherfuckers get that drunk. Don't end up with their wallet in their pocket. You see some people sleeping on the streets in fucking Tokyo. Everybody leaves them alone. I wouldn't do that in Osaka. Fuck that.
You were talking about residents
Yeah, residents
sleeping on
or
the streets,
travelers, everything.
just getting drunk and forgetting where you were.
People get fucking shit faced, man. Insane.
You get so
You gotta
drunk
remember,
you
like,
throw up in your own
you know,
eyes.
Tokyo, like in the United States, there's people from Iowa to go to fucking New York. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in Japan. People from, the other side of the fucking island go to Japan, go to Tokyo as a tourist destination.
Sure.
They get shit faced and end up in the fucking street face down too. It's fucking crazy.
I can't
I
wait.
only experienced when I was over there. I only saw two
going?
people that were like legit. Like you were like, whoa, somebody should call a fucking ambulance. Like I saw this girl like laying sideways, puke everywhere, just sleeping on a step. I was like, interesting. And I saw some dude that was just like laid out in the street while people were going to work, walking around him, ignoring him, piss all over himself. I was just like, okay. They're not
The boss
homeless
wanted to
people,
go
they're just
drinking.
Wasted. They're just fucking wasted. I get it. There's my horror story. There's my horror movie of the week.
I want to go.
Yeah, we're going. Let's go.
Yep.
Fucking 2 years.
We're
Let's
going.
do it.
I'm going. I'm buying it since Osaka is the Philly of
Sasage's?
since Osaka is the Philly of Japan. I'm going to buy an Osaka Tigers hat.
Is it Tigers? Osaka
Yes.
Tigers, yeah.
It's what I just looked them up. It is the Hanshin Tigers.
Hanshin Tigers. I'm down.
Okay.
I would love to
Nice
get into the Hanshin Tigers.
Nice flat brim.
I was over
Online,
there
they're
when I was-
$112.
I think they have sick hats too. I think
They do.
their baseball
jerseys
uniforms
are
are fucking
sick, too.
phenomenal.
Their fans are like soccer fans too. They have drum circles at the top of that play fucking boom 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 during baseball games. Pretty cool. We were there during their World Series. I don't know what they call it. I'm assuming it's the World Series over there too. Somebody was telling me like I want to go to a game, and I was like, hey man, you better buy tickets soon because I think they're going to win tomorrow. I was paying attention. I was on their TV trying to translate, figuring out what was going on sports wise.
I'm just gonna
I
wear.
hope you enjoyed all the wrestling talk this week.
I'm just gonna wear an Ichiro jersey every day if we go.
Oh, yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
All right, let's get out of
I
here.
was just
Next
looking
week,
at it.
Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe we'll have Japanese baseball team jerseys on. Thanks for joining us this week and join us here every week at Wrestling is Hard. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard4wrestling. Subscribe and follow. Tell your friends. For Brandon and Chris, I'm Jim. We'll be back here next week. Almost 100 episodes.